Welcome back and Happy New Year to all of our listeners and you guys here as well. Lucas Johnson back with Mark Johnson and Chuck Johnson, another episode of Sweet Shots Podcast. Episode 13, I believe. So lucky number 13. And gents, we made it. We made it past Christmas break. We finally got some golf on this weekend. So exciting. We'll be able to talk some golf for the first time in what feels like forever.
Looking forward to it.
And it's a great show ahead of us. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good. But before we jump into that, with it being New Year's, the whole theme of New Year's resolutions comes to mind. Have you guys made any for the new year? You hadn't thought about it?
I've thought about it. And I'm gonna play more golf.
Play more golf.
Yeah. And you would think, well, what's that mean? I only played 3 rounds last summer. That's not cutting it.
That's not enough.
No, it's not enough.
So I'm gonna make time to play more. Hopefully with you guys.
And this is real out on a golf course, not
Correct.
a virtual golf.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, you played plenty of golf.
I swung the club here, but green grass, playing golf, I need to play more than 3. So that's mine.
Fair. I like it.
Yep. Gonna be a little difficult for the next few months, but
There's guys that played more golf in a weekend
I know
than you played all summer.
that's correct.
Wow.
That's almost impressive, actually.
Depressing.
Or depressing. Yeah.
How about you guys?
I'm not a big resolution guy because I live my life every day, to the fullest. So I don't need to be motivated with things like that. But this Rise Fitness, where we go work out in the morning, they did a 31-day challenge. And when I walked in, a friend of mine was walking out. And he goes, "You're going to love the 31-day challenge." I said, "I want nothing to do with the 31-day challenge." But then they, kind of pressed a couple buttons in the competitive whatever. So I opted in for the highest option.
What is that?
Whatever that was.
Most
So the resolution is the next 31 days.
Yeah.
Well, you get. I didn't look at it close enough, but basically, for every mile you run, you get so many miles in quotation, and you try in 31 days. I'm trying to run 1,000 miles, which it's not 1,000 miles. It's like 300 miles.
Okay.
But they broke it down per day, which we're actually training for a half marathon February 4th in Mesa, Arizona. So it's like, okay, the running's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But the sit-ups and push-ups might be a challenge.
Oh, so it's a combo of all of them.
You can pick biking, running, and you need to accumulate all these points, which is the level that you choose. So I chose the top level, of course.
Of course you did.
And it requires, on average, 79 push-ups per day and 79 sit-ups per day.
You got this.
What?
Oh,
and they
the confidence in it from LJ.
Yeah. What?
Well,
How many?
I could see you do all you could run from here to Mexico and be fine, but
I know I'm a little concerned. It's not like the Portnoy fella from Barstool.
Yeah.
Have you heard about his resolution?
No.
He said, "I'm getting fat. I'm going to do, and who wants to join me? 1 sit-up on the first day of the year." And he accumulates. So the last day of the year, he's doing 365. Is that how many days are you in a year?
Yep.
365 push. But he's doing, the day before, he's doing 364. And the day before that, 363.
I like that.
So he posted his first day, January 1st.
Yeah.
He gets off the couch. He sits on the floor, does 1 sit-up.
And he goes to sit back down.
Sits back down and gets his bowl of ice cream or whatever he was eating.
No way.
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
It's all fine and dandy till you got to do about 50 of them. And then,
Right.
then you start rethinking.
Wow. If you've built up to it, though, LJ,
That's
you
true.
might be onto something.
Like you were talking about with the running, it's kind of like putting the frog in boiling water. If you just sat down and cranked out 365 sit-ups,
It's not going to happen.
Sick. But if you build up.
Yeah. So that's what he's doing, and that's what I signed up for. 31 days. And then the trainer, she's like, "Oh, come on, you can do just do 25 push-ups when you wake up, 25 in the middle of the day, and then 25 when you go to bed." And when you think of it that way,
simple.
Okay, that's 70. I said, "Well, that's 75. I need 4 more."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'll just do 4 more at night." So
you're gonna be sitting in the offices, Chuck, and Mark's gonna get right down in the middle because
he doesn't have space in his cube to
rep out 25 push-ups. You got to print around him,
Right.
So that's a 31-day resolution, and I
Okay.
cheated because I already had banked some miles on January 1st, so I used those. But anyways, do you hear about the guy? Speaking of running, that did a marathon a day
No.
in
What?
2022.
No way.
I did not hear
Every
about
day
that.
he ran a marathon, and he held down a full-time job.
No way.
It was a normal guy.
So he's running the equivalent of a marathon, right? 26.2 miles. He's not going and finding a marathon every day.
Well, I think you're right. I think he
Ran the equivalent of,
a marathon every
Marathon.
day, but he did run a lot of
which
like,
doesn't take away from anything, but you say hold
That's
down
insane.
a full-time job. That's nuts.
I think he was from Great Britain or Ireland. I
That
saw
sounds
this
about right.
story, and it was a big celebration for his. But could you imagine the commitment level that you need
No.
to have to run 26.2 per day?
How long do you
day?
think it's taken him?
They talked about that. I didn't remember.
Like 3 hours.
No,
No,
longer than that.
It's got to be like
he was
4.5.
he was
plus.
running like let's
So
just call it 4-hour marathons.
He's I'm not want to use the word wasting, but 4 hours a day running.
Well, I mean, if you said I'm getting up at 5, I don't have to be to work till 10. What are you doing from 5
People
to 9?
say the same thing about playing golf.
Reading
You're
paper.
wasting.
Oh, there you go.
You're wasting 4 hours of your day playing golf.
Maybe that's why I only played 3 rounds.
No,
That's true.
this is a golf podcast. We need to talk more
Yeah.
favorable light of golf than that.
No, but to his
But no,
point,
you're right.
He's saying, you're wasting 4 hours running. People say you're wasting 4 hours playing around the golf. We
That's
enjoy
his
that.
passion.
Maybe he enjoys it.
That's
It's
his passion.
the equivalent of playing 18 holes a day.
Yep.
Walking 18 holes a day.
Yep. So he just it's equivalent to playing 18 holes a day for 365 days.
ooh.
That's a lot.
Okay, Mark, you're
That is a lot.
you're a runner, and I think I know the answer to this. But just out of curiosity, more mentally challenging, a tournament round of golf down the stretch in contention, or running a full marathon?
They're different, and I'll classify this. I know there could be like real runners out there. I used to be like for an average guy, a competitive marathoner. I had a competitive edge to what I was trying to do with marathoning.
Yeah, you ran
including-
Boston, and
including
New
qualifying
York.
for
Yep,
Boston.
yep.
For a guy having a normal job and a normal guy, that it's anyways. But mentally, well, in a marathon, you're only half done 20 miles in. I mean, the mental fortitude you need the last 6 miles is greater than the expenditure of the first 20 easily. Not even you can't even compare. I could whatever. And golf, marathon. You're doing so many deals in your head. You're making
Making bets. If
Well,
I make it
you're-
another mile kind of deal.
you got to talk yourself into things.
Hmm.
Golf is not as manipulative as that. On a golf course, you're trying to make commitments to shots. You're seeing shots. You're going through a process. And so in my mind, it's more of having the discipline in golf to say, here's my shot. I know I've got the best round going, or I'm leading a tournament, or I'm trying to catch this. You have to block all that out and replace it with what's the process? What's the shot? It's 175 yards. What's my trajectory? So in golf, you get caught up, if you're doing it right, you get caught up in the process. In marathoning, you actually don't want to think about the process, because the moment you start thinking about how much your legs hurt or how much your wind or what your heart rate's doing, that's when you're sunk. You need to just be in la land. You need to focus on
Just
other
cruise
things.
control.
Yeah. So it's very different. I don't know if that answered your question, but
I was just because, like you said, we're trying. I'm eventually gonna try and run the Fargo full marathon in May, but we're gonna go down and do a half in February, and so that's what I've tried. Like through my training, I've noticed in my long runs, you do start to make deals with yourself. It's like you take it 1 mile at a time. You got to be mentally tough, just because the easy way is just to hit stop and be done, or walk and be done.
yes.
And so I was trying to find an equivalent to playing competitive golf, because it would just be, the closest thing that I could think of is that you hit a bad shot down the stretch, and the easy way would just be, well, my round's over. You got to have the strength. To your point, it is different because you got to be in the moment and you got to find the next shot. But I think everyone always says that golf's such a mental game, 80% mental. I think running's probably 95% mental. It's kind of where I'm at on that end of it.
I think endurance running is
running.
Once you've done your work, yes, then it's just a mindset. I mean, there's certainly things that your body's just not capable of doing. Same thing in golf.
Right.
I mean, I just can't hit it 340. I mean, 320 or 300. So you just you have physical limitations. But,
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting to compare the two. But I have one quick story.
Sure.
On a comparison. Then we need to get your resolution. We haven't heard your resolution. Quick
mine.
story about I used a comparison to try and explain what happened to me at the Twin Cities Marathon once to golfer friends of mine, and I was trying to qualify for Boston, and I was well within the number.
I think
and
I was there, wasn't it?
It's like qualifying. I think you were. It's like qualifying for or playing a golf tournament. And I said, I'm 6 under par with 3 holes to play, and all you need to do is shoot even, and you're in. One of those deals, like 6 under par. And I maybe had 4 miles to go, and I hit what you'd call the wall. There's different ways to hit the wall in marathoning, but I hit it. And it required walking the last 4 miles, kind of a walk jog. And I missed the time. And I was having such a great day, but yet I made, I probably went double, triple to miss it by 1.
Oh,
ouch.
That's rough.
I remember that day because that car ride home was that was a little touch and go there for a while, I believe.
Well, yeah, I got depleted. You were with me the next day. We went back down for the Vikings-Packers game, Chuck.
I remember that.
And I still wasn't right. It took me a long time to kind of, And that's part of any endurance sport. You need to learn your limitations and how your body reacts. And I was depleted of many nutrients that a person needs to function. Golf, you don't have to really deal with that. However, in golf, there's also proof that you need some carbs in your body with golf. You need that balance of carbs, proteins. Your brain needs carbs to function. You get late in a round and you haven't had some type of nourishment. It's a little Russian roulette.
Yeah, decision making starts to get impacted a little bit.
Okay, what's your deal? What's your deal?
My New Year's resolution, similar to yours, Chuck, is play more golf.
Okay.
More tournament golf because
there you go.
It's just as a professional, last year was nice, but it's kind of my first summer of expecting my game to be in one spot, and my performance is much less than that. And I know my potential is higher, so I want to play more tournament golf, keep it sharper. And then on more of a personal side of things with training for the marathon, I got a wedding coming in June. I want to be able to prolong being in shape because since I've started running, I've gotten in shape and I feel a lot better about myself. So I want to keep that going.
Good for you.
Through the year.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be doing 365 sit-ups or 79 push-ups a day or whatever, but trying to find a method that works for me to just stay in shape a little more.
And the any endurance training, whether you're on a bike or running, it will pay off in golf because down the stretch, and folks that don't play a lot of golf don't understand or appreciate the fact that, it can take it out of you. You walk on a hot day, 18 holes up over hill and dale.
Well, even college golf, 36 holes a day. I mean, you start getting into that 30th hole and you've only had a turkey sandwich to eat, to your earlier point, make sure you get some snacks, but there's a wall in that day too, where it's just like, I don't want to hit this next shot or when are we done? So, I'm interested to see how that impacts because it will be a nice little transition into the golf season with the training and everything. So that would be my New Year's resolutions. I think it's going to be a great year, and looking forward for Sweet Shots. It's, we're figuring some things out. So I'm excited for what we got cooking here. League's starting up next week. Week from today is our first ladies league. We're recording on Tuesday, so that'll be great.
Yep.
We got another round of our winter league, our open league. That's doing Wednesdays now, so that'll be good too.
Still room in both. For folks that are interested, you go to our website, sweetshots.com, and you can sign up.
Yeah.
And I like that wrinkle you guys got planned for the ladies league, similar to what you guys did this fall, where it's golf on the tee line, but then there's some weeks where you guys are indoors doing some sampling of foods and or beverages.
Yeah. I mean, we got great ideas coming for the ladies league. Mix in a little bit of social with some competition. So I'm excited. The first one was a hit. We're gonna keep rolling on that. Transitioning into a little more golf news. We've got some. We're traveling to Hawaii this week. We're going
Let's go.
Maui, the island of Maui. But before we get that, we started seeing some Masters news start trickling in. Obviously, we touched on it a couple weeks ago with the live golfers being announced. But now they're getting the invites out
in the mail.
Yep. Did you see
very
this
traditional.
Story?
Augusta's very traditional in how
Love
they
it.
handle things.
So the point at which we're getting at is there happens to be a gentleman by the name of Scott Stallings.
Heard of him.
Who qualified for the Masters. So he's getting an invite.
Good player.
Wasn't
playing
he
this
the
week. One? Yeah, wasn't he the one that went through like the body transformation? Like he was a little bigger, not in shape, and then he made a commitment and
push-ups, sit-ups.
Yep, I think he did 79 sit-ups and push-ups a day for 31 days, and he came out looking like
Scott Stallings.
Yeah,
this guy.
I mean,
he qualified for the Masters. There you go.
He makes Brooks Koepka's shirt look loose.
So Scott Stallings qualifies for the Master.
Yeah.
He's expecting his Masters invite. Everyone else is getting them. Tom Hoagie's getting them. They're posting them on their Instagrams, everything. And he sent out a tweet. This was yesterday. And he said, literally had been checking the mailbox 5 times a day, as anyone would. And then I get this random DM yesterday. And this gentleman DM'd him. And he goes, "Hi, Scott. My name is Scott Stallings, and I am from Georgia." So they both Scott Stallings, both from Georgia. But he goes, "My wife's name is Jennifer, too." So, I mean, these guys are the same person. Well, this Scott Stallings, this non-golfer Scott Stallings, happened to receive Scott Stallings' invite. And the DM goes into detail as far as, I mean, he gives out everything from, the dates that he's played, trying to make it seem realistic. Because, like, if you get a Masters invite and someone just randomly DMs you and goes, "Hey, I have your Masters invite," like, what are the chances that that's real?
Right.
Then he includes the pictures of the invite. He goes, "I'm really not kidding, I promise."
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
So, like, he gives his contacts, all this stuff, and then there's another video where the I don't want to call him the fake Scott Stallings because he's real, but
he's
the guy,
real Scott.
Yeah, the non PGA Pro Scott Stallings. He sent out a tweet with him going to the UPS store, mailing the Masters invite to the PGA Scott Stallings.
That's funny.
And he says, "I promise you, I wasn't kidding. The invitation mailed to you. My wife made me do it. You're welcome."
I would think he's got to be getting passes to the Masters.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask. If you're, let's say, the Scott Stallings, you got to take care of this guy.
Yeah. At least practice round.
Right.
At least.
Huh?
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I'm sure he's been stressing over, where's my invite? Like you said, 5 days or 5 times a day, he's checking the inbox, going out to the mail.
As anyone would.
Yep.
You get your invite to the Masters. All the other guys are getting it.
I got a question. So you got a person that's in charge of mailing these on behalf of Masters, Augusta. So you simply just find Scott Stallings, Georgia, and assume it's him? I mean, there's like a database, right, of where these people live, I would assume. Home address.
They have
the
to.
PGA Tour, I would think, could
I was going to say the PGA Tour's got
mailing
to have
address.
Yep.
So it's embarrassing.
Thumbing through the
that's embarrassing for
They got
Augusta.
a Rolodex in there.
They don't make mistakes
Google
like
search.
this.
Well, but would it be a mistake on the post office, though?
Well,
If
no,
they
they're
just
just
send
sending
it
it to the written address. They send it to whatever's on the envelope.
Yeah.
Whatever happened, there is a mix-up. And it's
An
crazy.
intern at Augusta assigned the project to say, all right, here's the list. Send Scott Stallings an invite. And whoops.
Do you think that's an
Scott's
intern? That's a pretty important deal. I would say it's got to be some.
It's pretty important.
Yeah. I wonder who sends them out. Like,
I don't know.
I mean,
So-
the
and why?
chairman's not doing it.
That's tradition.
Tradition.
It's tradition. Everything's tradition with Augusta. Okay.
So here's my question. This this instant begs the question. Mark, you had mentioned it before the show. Well, that could happen to me. I think it could happen to a Mark Johnson. What do you do if a random Masters invitation shows up in your mailbox inviting you to play at the Masters?
Well, I'd have to ask for work off first.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
do I get a practice round?
Yeah, they're inviting you to play the Masters. I mean, do you be the bigger person and you try and track down the actual person that go, or do you just take it as I must have won the lottery. I'm going to go play in the Masters.
the fact is, you have if you're that person,
yeah.
The fact is, you are in possession,
Yes,
of that
an invite,
yeah,
and you are Scott Stallings.
right.
Says it right here on my driver's license.
So could you at least, before you gave that up, could you have at least? I think Tom told us you can go play a practice round.
Yeah, you could.
Maybe with a member, or can you just? Hey, I'm in the field. I want to play a practice round.
Well, yeah, didn't they say they let him play 5 times before that even or something?
Okay,
Yeah, whatever
so
it is.
if I'm Scott Stallings, the seconds, I'm probably thinking about milking that.
You're going to press it.
for one time.
I think so.
You're going to roll in. You're going to show.
Yep.
Show this.
Right here.
Yep.
I got. It's like
The
show
FBI agent where they're just flipping it up and
you
down.
just flash that I got an invite to the deal, and you get at least one practice round.
I think so.
Of course, if the real Scott Stallings shows up on the day you're playing your practice round,
It gets
I'm
off.
happy
Then
to
it gets
watch.
awkward.
but I'm saying if he would have just kept things quiet,
Mhm.
and a couple weeks from now, maybe even give him a call. Hey, Scott Stallings here. Got my invite. I'd like to come down next week and play. Is there a good day? Yeah, we're pretty quiet on Tuesday.
Pretty quiet on Tuesday.
And
Yep.
I bet there's a good shot.
He's in. He's getting 18 holes out of it.
Because let's face it.
That's a great story.
Scott Stallings, the real Scott Stallings, he's not like, if he was, other than his golf swing, we wouldn't recognize it.
I wouldn't.
And we're follow golf pretty close.
Yes.
So now you got guys at Augusta that,
No.
their world is inside the.
And
inside
then
the
on
ropes.
top of that, his wife's name's Jennifer too.
Bring her with.
So then
Yeah.
you start answering some security questions. Hey, Scott, what's your wife's name? Jennifer. That checks out. All right, go play
No,
your.
they're not even asking that though.
No.
Seriously,
Showing the invite.
he could have parlayed this into. I'm sure he's getting on the property,
Yes.
and I wonder how many swings he would have to make before they go.
What is
Man,
going
what
on?
tournament did this guy win?
as he dribbles one off the first tee.
Of course, you'd have a
That'd be
house
tough.
caddy. You'd just get
Yes.
one of their caddies.
Yep.
And that guy's going to be telling stories like, do not bet on Scott Stallings.
I'm telling you,
Okay,
this
but
guy did not play it correctly.
right. So obviously we're rooting for Scott Stallings. We were rooting for him, the second Scott Stallings, to go down and play. But would you guys go down and play? Would you take that invite down there and be like, "Yep, I'm Mark Johnson"?
I wouldn't. It would take a special person to do that, to have the courage to do that.
Yeah. I wouldn't either.
No?
I'd love to be able to say yes, but no.
I'm doing it.
You would.
I'm gonna see how far I can get. What do you mean? I got the invite right here.
I guarantee you could get on property.
Easy. Oh, yeah.
And
Playing
I would
it the way you said, Mark, with a call. Hey, I got my invite here. Just want to get that practice round in.
I would imagine
Yeah,
they've got instructions in the invite, right? How to set everything up.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Right. That
'Cause, I
only
mean,
you
now-
were going to know based off the invite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ugh. He missed his opportunity.
Yes, he did. And there was a guy back in the day, and I watched a 30 for 30
I
on
think I
him,
saw this.
where he got himself like in the locker or on the court. Like he did warm-ups during the NBA All-Star game.
Oh, I was thinking something different.
It was just a general, he was just a Joe Blow guy.
There's a guy.
He would end up on football fields. He would end up in a
Yeah.
baseball. He was taking batting practice at like an all-star game. The guy was unbelievable. He looked the part and he
He
got
just
this.
did it.
Yes.
This was
How
it.
about-
this was the PGA's 30 for 30 right here. This goes
It
back
would have
to,
been
This
beautiful.
goes back to our idea: throw an average guy in
The
there.
old Scott Stallings deal. Oh, this
Throw
would
an
have been a
average-
talker for years.
And I'm thinking if there's ever a tournament that you could do this as an imposter with this scenario where all of a sudden you have it because you're getting past the guard right off Magnolia Lane and
As you
and-
pull in.
and yep, so you're getting past them. Hey, Scott Stallings, I got it.
Yep.
Hey, welcome,
Welcome,
Mr.
Scott.
Stallings. You get to the clubhouse. You're probably going to flash it again. You'd have to have a pretty savvy bag boy greeter to go.
But even-
you're not Scott.
Even then,
Stallings."
to your point, you're probably going to call ahead, create a practice round time, so you have the invitation as backup. But then you get on property, you don't even have to drop your name until you get to the check-in. I got a 3:00 today.
Yeah, you'd have to own it, just like
Yep.
getting into free seats, like we talked about last episode.
Yep.
You'd have to own it.
This is
Act the
golf's
part.
free seats right here.
Yep. That's where if it got in the right or wrong hands of a person, you could pull that off. I don't know how many holes you'd get to play, depending upon your golf swing, but
what if?
And then
what if?
are you getting in trouble? Are they going to
Yeah, what do they
prosecute
do?
you
What do they
for
do?
trespassing? Or you got the invite.
Impersonation? Is
Just
that
play
a
dumb.
thing?
I got the invite. It was a lucky day.
I mean, honestly, I struggle with memory loss, so I could have won a tournament back then. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. No. So that's
So
That's-
Scott's playing this week in Hawaii.
yeah, he is.
Yes.
He is. The PGA Scott, not the
Oh, yeah.
not the
Do we
second-
know that for
not
sure?
the second Scott. That's true. Yeah, he could show up in Hawaii. So exciting stuff. We're going to get back into the DraftKings. I think we're going to take our first break here as we transition into some DFS stuff. But on the other side, breaking down the Tournament of Champions, we got some good insights to that. Getting back into the fantasy golf, that's going to be the take for the second half of this. So we'll be right back. We're going to take our break. Stick around here.
This segment brought to you by Sweet Shots Grill and Lounge. Don't miss our happy hour Monday through Friday, 3:30 to 6:30. Fantastic prices on all things booze and beer. $3 taps, $3 wines. Stop on out. Also, lunch specials, $10 for just one of the best lunches you're ever going to find Monday through Friday. Chef Aaron Marty has done his best work for our lunches. Sweet Shots, it's your one-stop stop for family fun.
That lunch deal is phenomenal.
It is.
I absolutely love it. Half sandwich and a cup of soup or chips or whatever, $10. And the soups, chili today.
Chili.
That's
Phenomenal.
That
It was
good.
great chili.
That is great.
So those aren't polished spots. I think once we get an official, like people paying us for, is that how it works? Maybe we get a sponsor or something like that. Then we'll polish those up. But I'm basically just rattling that off the top of my head. I'm sure you couldn't tell.
That's why we
What?
keep you around, Mark, because that's
Didn't notice.
that's all you're here for is the ads after our breaks. Sweet Shots Bar and Lounge. Plenty of booze, too.
Grill and Lounge.
Grill and
Grill and
lounge. I don't even know. Yeah. Great. Well, kicking it off. Like we said, Sentry Tournament of Champions going down to Maui, slightly warmer than around here, although not bad out on the bays. Getting back into DFS, gents, I thought we could just touch on it again because it has been a while. Touch on maybe a refresher for how DFS works and kind of what we're looking for, what we do in our process to kind of get the people at home back in the mode again. Chuck, I don't know, as our resident DFS expert.
Yep. So DFS,
quote unquote.
short for daily fantasy, right? That's what it comes down. Daily fantasy sports. We are using DraftKings as the preferred application or product. There's FanDuel. There's other ones out there. DraftKings, I think, is the more popular when you look at what's across the industry. With DraftKings lineups, you're looking at 6 golfers. So you're picking a team. Your best, what you think will be the best for the week. 6 players, you got a $50,000 budget. Each player, obviously, the better the player, the more they cost. So this particular week, there's 2 players that are over $10,000 alone. And then on the
Pretend money.
Pretend money.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretend
It's
cash.
at $10,000.
Yep.
I mean, we're wagering real money, but
Yes.
just for clarity for the new listeners.
Yes, that's an important point, Mark. Because otherwise, this would eliminate a lot of people.
Just click that off. I don't have that kind of money.
So,
And you got to draft 6 of these guys?
wow. On the low end, the cheaper players will be at 6,000 range, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into what type of games are out there, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts. But you can get into this playing 10-cent games. There's 25-cent games. There's 50-cent, $1, $2, all the way up to you can do $100 per entry. Then there's multiple entry ones versus single entry games. So if you look out there, This particular week, you can find where maybe you want to build just one team, do a single entry, and it's $1. That's kind of fun to do. Then you're going against, maybe there's 5,000 entries total, but those individuals can only enter one lineup as well. Versus mass entry, there's 150 entries, where those are the guys that this is what they do for a living. They're going to throw in all 150. They actually leverage third-party software to help them build these lineups. And it spits out, after they've identified maybe their 3 core guys, they got formulas then the other 3 are just randomized. And they'll get 150 lineups. As a new beginner, I would avoid those because the cards are stacked against you.
Right.
And how can you tell the number of entries?
Yeah. So when you get out there on DraftKings, click on golf. Obviously, there's the 10 sports listed. Football's still out there, NBA, basketball, and everything. But you're going to hit golf. And then once you get into golf, choose your denomination of what you want to spend. And for instance, I'll go in there. Say you're doing $1. On the left, once those entries show up, you can see a line item for every single, I'll call it tournament. You can see the denomination right there, plus the number of entries. So say like times 3, times 150, or times 1 single entry. That's how you know how many entries can be put in by you.
So they show you.
They do.
It's not random.
You can pick it as you go in there.
Yep.
Before you even start your lineup.
You can even sort by the number of entries.
That's right.
In that game that you want to, if you only want to be entries of 3 or fewer, you can find the games that just offer 3 entries.
Or you can sort by the amount of money you want to spend. Maybe you want to do $1 only. You can sort by that.
Have you ever done the head-to-head stuff? So you just go against one random.
I haven't had much luck doing head-to-head. So I kind of like just throwing out lineups with the idea that I feel if I'm doing my background, a little data research, I'm going to be better than the majority. And if you're better than the majority on some of these single entry or 3 entry, you're going to make some money back. Might not necessarily win it, but you're going to make your dollars back.
Yeah, probability. Kind of law of probability, right?
We're excited this year. I don't know, off camera, we talked last week about as we enter this year of fantasy golf, guaranteeing, if folks follow Chuck's method, guaranteeing they're going to win money.
Well,
over the course of the year.
Guarantee's strong, Mark. I don't know if I could guarantee money, but I think you're going to have fun with it, and you're going to be able to maintain a bankroll that's going to allow you to continue to play each week. It's not like you're going to be able to quit your job all of a sudden, but it's going to be, you're going to have dollars there to be able to play and continue to play and have some fun.
It's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's entertaining. That's what it's all about. It's entertaining.
It gives you something to cheer for. Everyone's got their favorite golfer. Sometimes they don't play every week, but week to week, you're watching golf and you're cheering for guys.
Yeah.
You have a team that you're trying to cheer for, and I think that's probably the most enticing thing for myself. It gets you in the door.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So moving into this next week, as I was kind of looking at a lot of the DFS accounts that I follow for this fantasy golf are kind of putting out their New Year's rules to win or something along those lines, right? And I, in looking, was able to find one that I really kind of think resonated with us as far as how we can communicate. Like we mentioned, maybe our first one, we're kind of doing the research, we're bringing it to people,
right?
So they don't have to go do it themselves. And found one from Chad Eckert on Twitter, and this is what he does for a living, DFS. Actually a Minnesota guy, so maybe
he's one of us.
Yeah, maybe slightly biased towards him. But he threw out his top 10 tips for fantasy golf and how to be successful each week. And I kind of wanted to just brush through it, get your guys' thoughts on it. I think they're fantastic, and at least gives you a structure and an idea. So getting into it, top 10 tips from Chad Eckert on DFS Golf. So number 1, when you're picking your guys, you want to find the winner. Whoever that may be, whoever you think is going to find the winner, because obviously winner gets all the bonus points and everything like that.
Yep.
So you want the guy that you think is going to win it. Secondly, you're going to use a name in the 6,000s, right? So you talk about your budget picks. Find someone down there that is going to allow you the ability to maybe spend some more money on the top end of that.
And in the industry, it's called stars and scrubs.
Stars and scrubs.
So you take a guy or an individual you think's going to win, right? And then the scrub is finding that diamond in the rough, if you will, that 6,000, the low end, that's going to make the cut and have a good week.
Yep. Make some points for you.
Yep.
Save some money on your budget. And then you also talked about tip number 3, structuring your lineup. And basically that just means having a plan. Like you said, spend the money on the top end guy that you think's going to win, and then going down into 6,000, but then having maybe a guy from the 7,000s, 8,000s, 9,000, being able to kind of dip into each one of those areas, having a solid structure. Like he said, a lot of these guys that are doing it professionally, they follow that structure. Now, every once in a while, you're going to get a lucky day where a couple 6,000s make a run for it or whatever. What was this? 4th, spend the money. Use your full budget.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bonus points for only spending 45,000 of the 50, right?
That's true.
You don't get any bonus points for that. So unless you're feeling really good, you got an inside tip or whatever, don't be afraid to spend the money. And then Chuck, I thought of you when I saw this because you're kind of big into this, but course fit.
Yeah.
And that course history kind of goes into that. So guys that are playing well and are familiar with that course, focus on those guys. And similar to that is building teams with ball strikers on that are playing, guys that hit the ball well. Because if they hit the ball well, they're able to get themselves in scoring positions, which gives them more points.
Mm-hmm.
I love how he phrases this: decently, recently.
Yep.
So guys that are playing,
who's coming in hot. Yep.
Looking at guys with a fair price. So maybe notice someone that might be undervalued or something, because sometimes DraftKings does that. Don't be afraid to scoop them up. Just because they're not priced as high as you think doesn't mean that they're still not going to perform. And then you're looking at a not too popular tip. So finding a guy that maybe is under the radar, like you were saying, stars and scrubs, kind of goes back to that. And his last point, which is good, watch golf. You gotta stay up to date, and it kind of leans into gut feelings and stuff like that. If you watch a guy play, be able to have a gut feeling. You're just gonna watch golf.
I like that. That's really good. Who is this gentleman?
His name's Chad Eckert.
Okay.
And he is a Minnesota native, but he does this DFS stuff for a living. I think he's also a realtor. But
the only thing I would say is, Chuck, you had done some research. You had done some research on DMF a couple of years ago. We just had a moment here. Our uncle is on 3rd level.
Just taking a look. I think both of them. I think I saw.
Yeah, you look out the window. Our uncles are on the 3rd level here.
Maynard and Marty.
Past the red line.
They are past the red line. It's not safe.
As he's got his cane in his hand.
And this is fantastic because he hasn't been here before to see it.
So, really?
Yeah. Oh. This is great. So sorry for the distraction, but I was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
Just wandering about.
Uncle Marty is on the tee line.
Taking a look.
So the one thing, though, I thought, Chuck, that you the experts were saying, as far as your salary cap, they've won many times without using their full amount.
I wrote that down, Mark. So when you get into the big, like 150 enters or 50 entries, where you can get unique is to not use all your cash. Because typically as you're building lineups, more times than not, the guys, what they're going to do is they're going to use all the dollars, right? You get to the last part, and all of a sudden you got 8,400 left. You look and you go, oh, I can get Finau at 8,400. I'm putting them in. Where you get unique is picking somebody in that 7,000 range, leaving money on the table. That's how you get separation from the mass entry.
A little more unique.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I would do that more so when you get the large, like a 25 or more entry. That's how you get unique. The one entry,
25 or more dollars?
No.
Sorry. 25 or more
entries. Or you're in a mass entry where you can do 25 lineups.
Oh, okay.
That's how you get unique.
That's how you differentiate yourself, because everybody's trying to max their salary out.
They are.
And they end up taking the same guys.
That's how it ends up.
Yeah.
Especially Masters Week. That's what I found is Masters Week. And we'll talk more about that when we get into April. Leave some dollars on the table. And that's how you get a little more unique. So
that's a good point.
Well, yeah. And
that's why we're here.
Yep.
That's why we're here.
Yep.
Did they get off the range or the third floor safely? Because I don't see them any longer, Mark.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't
hope
watching.
so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark, I don't know if you have any tips or tricks from your experiences, but anything to add?
No, I think when I have one, it's been more horses for courses.
Yeah.
Course
history.
Yep. God, I remember this guy playing well there last year. I kind of look at last year's how they play last year. What kind of form are they in now? And yeah, I mean there is something to be said. Sometimes golf courses just fit the eye for a player, or they putt well on those greens or whatever. And so I tend to lean that way.
Absolutely.
Between I understand all the proximity to hole or strokes gained, this and that. I don't. Yeah, I don't have access to a lot of that information or patience to go out and research that. So I'm going off course history and how are they playing right now.
And I like that. I think that's a great segue into this week's tournament, Sentry Tournament of Champions, where course history comes into play here, Chuck.
It does,
it's
very much so.
You get past champions are invited, or winners on tour are invited to this.
Yep.
And so if you're a multi-winner on the tour, you've played here multiple times. So that was a big thing for me when I was looking at it. Again, we are in Hawaii, Maui. It's a no-cut event. So again, kind of a unique situations for DraftKings because nobody's getting cut here.
Yep.
We were talking beforehand. It's a low-scoring tournament. These guys are good, and it's not necessarily the world's toughest golf course. So guys are going low.
Are live guys not invited?
Not to this one.
That's correct.
So a guy like Cam Smith,
Not coming back.
Not and who won it last year?
yeah,
Correct.
defending champion.
That's correct.
Not coming back.
Not
Sorry, can't play here. That's the deal.
Well, it's a PGA Tour event.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right. So
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. So if you touched on it, I'm big. I follow and look at past results. I just do a simple Google search on in this particular at Sentry Tournament of Champions, past champions. I found the website, and you can toggle between the years. So from last year to 21 to 2020 to 2019, you can see exactly where everybody ended. That's kind of how I start my research to go, oh, wow. For instance, JT, Justin Thomas, all top threes within the last 3 years with a win in 20. That's pretty solid. John Rahm, Patrick Cantlay, and Xander Schauffele, all top 10s the last 3 years. Morikawa, sneaky, all top 7s the last 3 years.
Ooh, yeah.
And Sung J M didn't play 3 years ago, but the last 2 years he's been top 8s. A couple newbies, one that jumps out at me is Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Hasn't played here before. I like his game. Might be a kind of a sneaky dart throw there.
Little rookie for the tournament.
Yep. Our guy Hoagie hasn't played here.
Yep.
But he's got the game for it. When you look coastal, right? One in on Pebble.
Yep.
I think the wind can blow here.
Great ball striker.
Yep. Give himself a lot of looks for birdie. Now, one thing that maybe makes me a little nervous, he mentioned big greens when he played the British
Open.
They
Yeah.
didn't necessarily like these have big greens. I don't know if that's plays into it, but I'm
Hit
still
it
putting
closer.
him in my lineup.
Just
hit it closer, LJ says. I love it. And then one thing I heard, guys, this is sneaky. Victor Hovland. Okay. He showed up last week and has been playing the course to get used to it.
Really?
Well, he needs to, the way he hit the ball towards the end of last year.
Oh. Now,
Jeez.
He was out of form.
does Victor is he married? Does he have a family?
He's pretty young.
I think he's got a girlfriend. I don't know if they're married.
Okay. A lot of people, it's Hawaii. Is it vacation? To get out there, have a good time? How focused are you on winning? I don't know this for a fact, but Victor might come in I'm here to win. I'm not here
Yeah,
to...
if he's there a week early, that's a good point.
I do think he didn't have the year he was hoping last year. I think he's probably doubled down, kind of really buckling down. He definitely has a game to be a major contender.
Yeah.
So I could see him. Hey, I'm gonna recommit myself this year.
Get on it. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I had a little sneaky pick in here. Your boy Seamus Power.
Yeah.
As a rookie coming into the tournament, great in the strokes gains category. He's a bomber, and he's got a great iron play. So that was kind of my sneaky pick coming into this week
at 7,200.
Yep. So
that can afford you some bigger
values there.
Yep. Salary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else on the course side of things?
Just for those of you out there listening that want to maybe do a little more homework on there, a gentleman I've mentioned it before, a site, Rick Rungood, do a YouTube search on that. The guy does a lot of data analysis, and he's built tools, and he shows his screens, and he's done this for this particular tournament on course history, who's coming in good form, things you touched on earlier, who's the ball strikers, this type of course, strokes gained around the green, putting, he does it all. And then he even goes as far as to rank who he thinks would excel at this course. Mm-hmm. So I'd check him out. He's an avenue that I like to use.
Yeah. And if not, if we're feeling a little lazy, you just listen to this show. Keep it right here. We're going to dissect it all.
Yep. We'll bring the data to him. That's what we're doing.
Yep.
All right. Are we getting into the lineups?
Yeah,
now?
Let's do it. Okay. Chuck, I think we're going to keep you in the winner's circle here for this week. So you get to go first.
I love it.
Pick your lineup.
I am going with Tom Hoagie because he's undefeated since he's been on our podcast.
It's true.
Right. Very true.
So he's going to keep it running.
Yep.
Right.
I happened to bump into Amy Olsen this morning. She was here working on her game a little bit.
Grinding early.
And I threw that stat out to her.
Did you?
I said, Amy, you might want to consider getting on this podcast. Oh, why is that? And I told her.
Yeah.
It's in the works.
I got her attention.
Yeah.
Good.
It's in the works.
It's in the works.
Okay.
We're working with her. Anyways.
I look forward to it. Then I'm going to go with a couple individuals that have really good course history.
Well, so to jump back to Tom
Hoagie,
sorry. He's your value pick because he's $6,500.
He's my lowest.
Yeah.
Yep.
$6,500 for Tom Hoagie.
I think that's a steal.
Yep. Absolutely.
But that puts it tells of how important course knowledge is if they've got Hoagie at 6,500. The rookies.
Course history.
Anyways.
Yep.
Sorry, Chuck.
Well, I'm going to go in that order then. Then my next cheapest is Seamus.
Mm-hmm.
Power 7,200. Yep.
Yep.
And then I jump into the eights. I got Sanjay M. Nice. I'm liking course history
that.
there.
Yep.
Okay. Then right behind him in salary, I've got Victor. I'm liking the fact that he's been there working on playing the course. I like it. Okay. And then looking salaries here. Oh, now I got Morikawa. I think he's going to fly under the radar this week. He's kind of in that range where he's around other guys that the names may be a little bit bigger. Maybe they've been playing a little bit better, but I like the course history here. Top sevens, 3 straight years. Okay.
Colin
Morikawa.
Yeah,
okay.
he had an off year too last year.
He did a little bit.
He was searching for it a little bit.
And then my top guy, Xander Schauffele at 95. And Xander again, he's in there all top 10s.
Yeah.
The last time he's been there.
Yep.
I think he's going to have a good year. I think Xander's going to have a big year, and it's going to start.
That's your top guy?
That's my top guy. Yep. I'm avoiding the 10s and
95.
That's correct.
All right.
I'm more balanced, as they say.
I think Xander's the type of guy. I mean, I think he could win at Augusta this year.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think he's prepped for a big year.
Yeah,
I do too.
It's going to go one or two ways for him. I mean, so it hasn't fallen his way yet, but
well, didn't he get a win? Yeah, he got a win at the international, whatever that is, international men's golf. Oh, that was an international golf tourney. And he's got a 9th and a 4th this fall. So
he's prepped.
I'm taking it
and ready to go.
That's mine, guys. Let's hear yours.
I'll go. So I'll start opposite of you. So I'm going to dip into the 10s. I'm going Scotty Scheffler.
Ooh,
yes. He aside from the Masters win, after the Masters, I think he struggled down the stretch. He had the expectations, just never really super delivered all that much. So I think he's coming back this year. He's going to get a hot putter and be really solid. Then I'm going to follow you, Chuck. I'm going with Xander. I think, like we were talking about, he's going to have a good year. I got a feeling. Then I took Sam Burns at 8,400.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great putter of the golf ball. That one was more of a gut pick. He was actually my last pick I did, so I had $8,400 left. I spent the money. Took Sam Burns. Then I'm going Brian Harmon. And in my research, so he's at 8,000. My research, he was a statistical favorite. There we go. Just from his strokes gains, he's a great putter and course history. In 2018, he was third. So I think he's a name that's going to fly under the radar at 8,000. Then I'm going to round it out with the two rookies, Sahith Theegala and Tom Hoge, partners. Both from recent form, value picks, and I think they're going to kick off their season in a really good way. That's going to round out my line.
So they were partners in that event.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
event
good
they won.
I like that. Coming in with some positivity.
I'm a Theegala guy. I think he's just a great guy. I'm really rooting for him. So I'm hoping he starts off his year really, really solid here. That leaves
I
Mark.
like it.
Well, yeah, going last. I'm modified just based on what you guys were doing, and I went away from a player. I had Xander Schauffele because of course history. He bombs it, and he's played well. I watch this tournament every year. It seems like Xander's in the mix, just from my recollection. Yep. So I had Xander Schauffele, but seeing as how you guys picked him, I want to be a little different. I substituted Xander with Patrick Cantlay.
Nice.
You look at his fantasy points per game, 137.5. That's an insane number. But he does it so quietly.
Yeah, he does. Not flashy.
So unassuming. But he leads all those different categories. Strokes.
He is.
Good pick.
He's really quiet. He kind of finds himself towards the top of the leaderboard.
And I'll say this. I was really working hard on my team, trying to find a way. I am really high on Justin Thomas this year.
Are you?
I think he is motivated. I think if he can get out of his own way, sometimes he tries to do maybe a little too much and not just playing some stock shots. I think I think he's poised for a huge year. You don't hang around Tiger as much as he does, and you put that on yourself that I want to be at that level. I think he's hungry for it, and he has the game to do it. He's just got to figure it out. So that's my jumping in the head.
JT?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
but this. But
just
I will
it all up,
right? But he's not on my team.
I can't afford him because of the brilliance that I've done in other categories.
Oh, okay.
So, in other price points. So I'm going from the ground up. I want Tom Hoge, 6,500.
Yep.
Great value pick.
Absolutely.
Again,
so we all have Hoge.
Yeah, we all do. Just a value pick.
Yep.
My next guy at 7,900, Billy Horschel. Here's another guy. He's got the greatest shoes in golf, and he's 6 for 6 on cuts, 3 top 10s. He's just solid.
Yeah, he is. That's a good pick.
At 7,900.
That cut stat is really important this week in a no-cut event.
Well, that's true, but it's a glimpse into how he's playing. I know it's a no-cut event, but it's a glimpse into how he's playing. Then my next, I also have Harman.
Yeah,
Brian Harman is a value grinder points guy.
He is.
I think we talked about him a couple weeks back, right? We had him on our team. Yeah.
He's just fantastic. And then I was happy to hear you guys didn't have Max Homa on any of your teams.
Yeah.
He's got a kid now.
Yeah.
I know.
Dude hasn't slept.
Well,
and he's switching time zones.
You're the whole H's. Hoge, Horschel, Harman, Homa.
Hang on.
I don't have him in my lineups.
No, I got Cantlay, yeah.
Where's he from?
And then my 9,300 pick at 9,300, the guy, he won a couple times last summer back to back. I got Tony Finau.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Bomber.
I think Tony is poised for another good year. He's been there before.
Well, he's proved it. The whole thing earlier was that he couldn't finish a round,
That's right.
or a tournament.
Yep. He was good with second.
Yep. And now, I mean, he's proved everyone wrong.
It's good.
I like that pick.
But if I had something to do over again, I would substitute Horschel. He's at 7,900. I'd find another $200, and I'd go back in and I'd dump Cantlay for Justin Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like this lineup, Mark.
It's a little non-scratch, right? So in the world of this world, a scratch team is guys that are popular.
Yep.
Right.
And so I think I have a little less scratch team, especially with Cantlay.
Yeah, no, I like the Cantlay play. Max Homa, somebody that definitely has the game. Whether or not he's focused, we'll see.
I think he'll be.
I saw on Twitter last week he was out grinding. It must have been really chilly in Arizona. It was like 60 and rainy. They actually were getting rain, and he was on the range grinding.
Okay, good.
Yep, he was.
Versus at home changing diapers.
That's correct. It was actually his buddy, PGA Pro, who wears a weird hat, Joel Damon.
Yeah.
Posted, he said, this guy will do anything to stay away from the wife and kids. That's what he posted.
Changing
Yes.
diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we got,
This is
I mean,
good.
it's nice to have a lineup back again.
Now, this event, because it's in Hawaii, I think it gets windy in the afternoons. Would this be, you could do a late and an early wave on, like, after
I've
you
seen
do your
that-
4-day, could you come back in and go, geez, Thursday wasn't what I hoped. I'm just going to play a 1-day Friday or an afternoon.
Absolutely.
And
I
then
think
if
could.
you play a 1-day and then you look for the guys with the late tee times, stay away from them.
Yep.
Yeah. I've seen that the course plays so easy, though, that it's not necessarily necessary.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a difficult setup.
The tee times are set. I'm looking at them right here.
Yep.
So, for
you
instance,
could-
day 1 afternoon, JT tees off last. And now Gale. Oh, you don't have him. Was Xander. Great.
Cool.
So for those listeners that I think last fall we were talking about, playing one day
Yep.
fantasy, say your team didn't do what you hoped it did on Thursday and Friday, and you still want to play something on the weekend, you could do a 1-day, but then be aware of the weather and the tee time waves. And each course has its nuances. These courses play differently depending upon what the wind is doing, and the weather in that part of the world may be predictable. It may always blow after 2:00, like Torrey Pines.
Yep.
So be aware of that if you're playing a 1-day.
Yep. Great point.
That is a good point. We're gonna wrap up here. We just hit the 30-minute mark, so I'm not sure if our camera caught all of that. So apologies to those on YouTube if we cut out. But good to have our lineups in. It gives us another thing to talk about next week. We're gonna start the scoreboard again for the new year. So thanks to everyone for listening in. Good luck to both you guys.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
You're gonna need it. And we'll recap next week. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.